some of what you may have done may have helped with the timing, right? I think you.
What's that?
I think you tipping off BigU. I think that definitely.
I did what?
I think you going online and saying that, and the only reason I'm saying this is that if you ever read any federal indictment,
I did what? I tipped him off.
You tipped him off via
What
online.
did the lady say in the recording I sent you?
Well,
please don't what?
Please don't tell. But this is why I'm coming to this conclusion.
When it comes to drama in hip hop, nobody plays the game like 50 Cent. For decades, Fif has built his reputation off trolling, exposing, and clowning anybody who crosses him. But one name he's been unusually careful around is Wack 100. Wack's a West Coast manager known for running his mouth on Clubhouse, inserting himself in everybody's beef, and claiming to have his hands in street politics and industry deals. But lately, the whispers around Wack ain't just about his antics. It's about whether he's secretly tied to the feds. And 50 Cent? He's been clowning him on the low, letting the streets connect the dots. The suspicions started heavy when Wack admitted he called BigU's wife to warn her about a sealed federal indictment. According to him, he somehow knew the feds had a major case coming down on BigU. 43 counts including RICO, extortion, fraud, and more. That raised the biggest question. How could Wack possibly know about sealed paperwork unless he had someone feeding him information? Normal managers don't have access to that type of intel. In the streets, knowing about sealed indictments before they break only means one thing. You're working too close to law enforcement, and this ain't the first time somebody put that label on Wack. Years back, Suge Knight warned Birdman that Wack couldn't be trusted, claiming he was working with them people. At the time, most brushed it off as Suge being bitter behind bars. But now, with Wack's name floating in federal cases and him dodging charges while everybody else falls, Suge's words hit different. Even Birdman kept his distance, never fully embracing Wack despite their ties. It got worse when DJ Academics pressed Wack live on Clubhouse. AK straight up asked if he tipped BigU's wife off about the indictment. Wack didn't deny it. He just laughed. That laugh went viral, and the internet immediately stamped him Rat 100. In hip-hop, perception is everything, and once the streets smell paperwork energy, it's almost impossible to shake. What really fuels the rumors is how Wack always dodges cases that should have buried him. Back in 2006, he caught a gun charge in Texas, a serious one. But the case mysteriously got dismissed in the interest of justice. To this day, nobody understands how he walked away so clean. Add in his name showing up on wiretaps with known informant Stutterbox, tied to the Main Street Mafia Crips case, and the narrative starts writing itself. Now you got 50 Cent, one of the smartest street-savvy rappers ever, watching all this unfold. Fif knows what it looks like when someone's playing both sides. That's why instead of going full throttle at Wack, he's been throwing subtle shade, clowning industry informants in his posts, and letting fans do the rest. In the game of exposing rats, 50's a professional, and Wack is looking like the easiest target yet.
After you got the message, you hit up BigU's wife. You said, "Sis, 911. One sec, let me get solo." And you gave him a heads up.
What I tell him?
You said, "One sec, let me get solo. He needs to leave. Bad." In caps, all caps. He needs to leave.
I said so bad, right?
Yeah, full bad.
What the 600 said is 4 rolling 60 telling on it.
All right, so Wack, let me ask you this.
So that's what the 4 bad means.
What you talking about, you little brain
Let me
nigga?
ask you this,
When you
Wack.
go to talking, now I just sent you a clip. Play the clip. You gonna hear the people saying, "Don't say nothing. Don't tell nobody nothing. Don't say nothing." So which one you want? If he wouldn't have said nothing and y'all found out knew, you would say what? Why you didn't say nothing?
No.
One of the biggest stains on Wack 100's name came when he decided to link up with Tekashi 6ix9ine. By the time Wack started managing him, Tekashi wasn't just controversial. He was the most famous snitch in hip-hop. He testified against 9 Trey gang members, walked out of prison with a light sentence, and became the poster boy for federal cooperation. Almost the entire rap industry turned its back on him, but Wack, he embraced him. Wack tried to spin it as just business. He said Tekashi still had fans, still had clout, and that he was smart enough to capitalize on it. But for the culture, that looks shady. How does a man who claims to be the realest manager in the game decide to manage the same guy the streets branded as the biggest rat of all time? to many, it wasn't just about money, it was about comfort. Wack didn't mind being around snitches because, as fans say, he's probably one himself. And that's not the only thing raising eyebrows. Wack has a bad habit of bragging about sealed cases, indictments, and FBI moves before they even make the news. On Clubhouse, he'll casually say stuff like, "That case already federal," or "That indictment dropping next summer." Regular managers don't talk like that. Regular managers don't even know that type of info. But Wack talks like he's sitting in meetings with prosecutors. That's exactly why fans stamped him Rat 100. He acts like a street guy, but talks like an investigator. 50 Cent sees all of this and plays it smart. Fif has been around real informants before. He knows the signs. He sees how Wack dodges heavy smoke, how he's comfortable working with Tekashi, and how he laughs instead of denying rat accusations. That's why 50 clowns him without naming him directly. It's strategic. He doesn't need to go at Wack head on. He just drops hints about industry informants or rats hiding in plain sight and lets the internet tie it back to Wack. Then there's the way Wack positions himself as a gangster gatekeeper. He'll pop up in rooms claiming he controls West Coast politics, that he can greenlight who moves where, that he's connected to every crew. But the truth is, most of those same crews don't vouch for him. In fact, a lot of OGs stay quiet or distant when his name comes up. That silence says a lot. Real power doesn't need to be bragged about on Clubhouse every night. And 50 Cent knows that better than anyone. For Fif, the comedy is clear. Wack wants to be feared, but he's only respected by trolls and internet bloggers. The real ones either ignore him or suspect he's wired up. And when your name carries that kind of energy, no amount of tough talk can save your reputation. If the Tekashi link wasn't enough to make people suspicious, Wack's long history with Birdman and BigU sealed the deal. Back when Birdman was running Cash Money heavy, Wack tried to position himself as his West Coast muscle. He'd brag about his ties, claiming he was locked in with both Birdman and BigU, moving like a power broker. But behind the scenes, things weren't adding up. Even Suge Knight had warned Birdman years ago that Wack couldn't be trusted. Suge, who's been around every kind of hustler, told him straight up, "That man working with them people." At first, folks brushed it off, but as time went on, Birdman kept Wack at arm's length. You never saw him giving Wack the same kind of full embrace he gave Wayne or even Young Thug. It was like he knew Wack was bad for business. The BigU indictment only made things murkier. 43 counts, heavy RICO charges, extortion, fraud, the type of case that usually wipes everybody in its path. Yet somehow Wack's name was tied to conversations and even Clubhouse rants used as evidence, but he wasn't indicted. Fans couldn't make sense of it. How could his name keep popping up in paperwork, yet he stays free? That's not luck, that's protection. The suspicion hit its peak when DJ Academics pressed Wack about warning BigU's wife on a live Clubhouse room. Wack didn't defend himself, didn't explain, didn't shut it down. He just laughed. That laugh told fans everything they needed to know. It wasn't denial, it was deflection. And once the internet got a hold of it, the memes came flying. That's when the nickname stuck, Rat 100. From then on, every move Wack made got filtered through that lens. When he bragged about indictments, people said, "See, he's flexing his Fed connections." When he linked with Tekashi, they said, "Birds of a feather." When he beefed with rappers, fans joked that he was recording it for his handlers. The streets and the blogs rarely agree on anything, but in this case, they were unified. Wack talks too much and walks away too clean. And 50 Cent? He couldn't resist fanning the flames. Fif would post rat memes, make slick comments about industry snitches, and let the fans connect the dots. He never had to mention Wack by name. The streets already knew who he was talking about. It's a chess move Fif has mastered, exposing somebody without ever getting his hands dirty. By this point, Wack's reputation was toast. The man who once bragged about being the most feared manager in the game was now being dragged across the internet as the culture's favorite cop caller. Every time he tried to clap back, the jokes only got worse. And with 50 Cent lurking in the shadows, the humiliation kept growing. At this point, the Rat 100 name sticks harder than anything Wack's ever tried to brand himself with. For years, he pushed the image of being the loudest voice on the West Coast, the street general, the tough manager who could pull strings in the industry and the hood. But now his reputation is overshadowed by one thing: suspicion. Once the streets start calling you a rat, there's no coming back. And with Wack, it ain't just rumors. It's a long list of red flags that make people believe the hype. Think about it. He's been tied to wiretaps with Stutterbox, an admitted informant. He's bragged about knowing sealed indictments before they hit. He's dodged a 2006 Texas gun case that mysteriously vanished in the interest of justice. He managed Tekashi 6ix9ine like it was normal business, even though Tekashi was the most hated cooperator in rap. And he admitted to warning BigU's wife about an indictment, something only an insider would know. Add all that up, and it paints a picture that's too hard to ignore. The culture picked up on it fast. Fans started clowning him online, dropping rat emojis every time his name trended. Memes branded him Detective Wack, or Officer 100. And while Wack tried to clap back with insults and tough talk, the jokes only grew. Because deep down, the streets and the internet agreed on one thing: Wack knows too much, and he talks too much to not be wired up. 50 Cent, being the master troll he is, keeps that fire alive. He doesn't even need to say Wack's name. He just drops a little hints, clowning industry informants or rats hiding in plain sight. Fans instantly connect it back to Wack, and Fifth sits back laughing. It's the perfect move for him. Instead of going head-to-head with Wack, he lets the culture roast him, keeping his own hands clean. And every time Fifth posts, Wack's name trends for the wrong reasons. The real damage is how this ruins Wack's credibility. In the music business, your reputation is your currency. Artists, execs, and street figures don't want to be tied to someone labeled a rat. It makes everything you say look suspect, every deal look shaky, every threat look empty. Wack might still be making money and running his mouth on Clubhouse, but in terms of respect, that's gone. Even the people who rock with him do it for clout, not loyalty. At the end of the day, Wack 100 wanted to be feared. He wanted to be seen as the shot caller, the enforcer who couldn't be touched. Instead, he's become a punchline, a man the streets call Rat 100 and laugh at whenever he tries to flex. And with 50 Cent clowning him at every turn, the humiliation only spreads further. In hip-hop, loyalty is everything. Once people believe you broke that code, your name is finished. And for Wack 100, no amount of tough talk can erase the fact that in the culture's eyes, he'll always be the one moving like a snitch.